Hey, wow, what a time it's been. A week or two, maybe even three. It's me, again. Your boy, Naki from Naki's Nook. And what episode is this? 6? Damn. I lost track, huh? Hmm. You know, I was thinking about if I should make another mid-season review, because that's kind of where we are for this winter 2025 season. And I don't know, the more I looked into it, kind of made me a little bit sad, to be honest. And you might be wondering why is that sad? I was looking at, like, I'm here on my Annie list, or my anime list, or Annie list, or whatever you use. But I was just looking at what's airing this season, seeing which ones I've been watching and which ones I didn't touch and forgot about. And it just, I started making a list of, well, you have your returning anime like Solo Leveling, Apothecary Diaries, Dr. Stone, 100 Girlfriends, Happy Marriage, Toilet Bound Hanako, those. And I can't find anything wrong with them. They're popular for a reason, and I personally love Solo Leveling, Apothecary Diaries, and Dr. Stone. And, the other ones I mentioned are also really popular, so they're getting a returning season. That's all fine and dandy. That's, you have a couple others, but let's say that's like 10 or 8. 8 to 10 of the animes airing this season is, a second season or, returning season. And so I was like, okay, I might not be watching all of those. I'm like really only watching Solo Leveling because I already know what's going to happen. I've already read the webtoon and the light novel and whatnot. So I can kind of turn my brain off and be excited for what's going to happen next. But then I started looking at, the other new, like, original, not original. Well, they're all original, but I mean, the new airing ones. And I was like, okay, well, most of these seem to be fantasy or isekai, so I grouped those together, and that's what made me sad. I'm looking at this list, like, we got how much is that? Like 5, 10, 15, another 5, another 10. Of the 25 or more new shows that I have been watching, or that I've given a chance, 15 of those, more than half, are of the fantasy isekai genre. One of the two. And I feel a little bit disappointed in that. Some of them aren't your traditional isekai, but the ones that aren't, that take an interesting approach, don't seem to be getting the popularity that they aren't as popular as I feel like they should be. They're not underrated, but I just feel like they deserve better. And it's kind of sad seeing stuff like possibly the greatest alchemist of all time and the Guild Receptionist one a little bit higher than one of my favorites this season, Headhunted to Another World. And let's see what else we got. Bureaucrat Villainess. That one's so not deplorably, but it's just so much lower than I feel like it needs to be. And the other thing is, God, guys, I'm sorry, but this is seeing all these fantasy isekai shows come out. We have like Noble on the Brink of Ruin. Um, I left my A rank party. Magic Maker, stuff like this, and then seeing like 50s, 60s as the percentages, like of the ratings. It's like people don't seem to really be enjoying these yet. There's so many coming out. And the ones that are good, I feel like, at least in my opinion, aren't getting the recognition that they deserve. We have Bogus Skill Fruitmaster, which has a higher popularity, but a 5.7 rating. It's technically higher than the 7.3 rated Bureaucrat Villainess anime. I don't know. It just keeps reminding me that garbage fantasy anime is just getting churned out every season. And maybe there aren't other things that they would like to animate. I mean, there's probably some corporate, stuff involved, seeing, oh, Isekai does so much better than trying something new, and they're probably valid for that, but at the same time, I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting tired of the isekai slop. And some of it isn't even isekai. Some of it's just normal fantasy. Like, you have Bogus Skill Fruitmaster, you have again, the guild receptionist one, and what else? What else is there? I can't even remember. They're all like blending together. They're all blending together because they all kind of feel the same. Like it's always just main character with cheap power and a robe. That describes so many characters, and it's sad. But of the fantasy anime this season, I will give props to like Headhunted from Another World, Salaryman to what is it called? Salaryman to Big Four. Basically, he gets summoned by a demon king, and he's just a salaryman, but he has all this like working experience, so he gets hired basically by the demon king to run his kingdom and army and stuff, and sort out different affairs and different problems and negotiate with people. It's interesting to see. It's an isekai, but he's not getting some super stupid cheap power. He's not getting his harem. He's not actually fighting. It's using, real world skills and how they might apply to even this fantasy land. And honestly, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But I don't know. I feel like it's not getting the recognition it deserves, and that it probably should be higher. And then we have Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. And this one is so good, but I really don't like the actual isekai aspect of it. I like the reverse isekai. It's about this guy who goes to sleep, and when he dreams, he gets transported to this other fantasy world where he's been living out his life ever since he was a kid while he's, dreaming. And one day, he grabs onto his elf friend when he dies, and when he dies, he wakes up from the dream, right? But this whole time he's been thinking of this isekai world as just a dream that has been continuing, only to realize that he now transported his elf friend along with him back into the real world. Reverse isekai is such a cool unexplored genre, and I think they tried doing a good job, but I really don't like the episodes where they're actually in the other world, because there's no tension, there's no reason for him to go back to the other world, at least from what I've watched so far. And it's just kind of not interesting. I would rather see her learn Japanese and try to live her life in modern day Japan without all of the, magic stuff and adventuring and whatnot. And so far it's really solid. But I would rather see so much more of her enjoying Japanese food and being intrigued by the culture than them just going back to their dream world and just adventuring with no real purpose or goal in mind, with no stakes. The only stake for him, the only thing that keeps him or wanting to stay alive in the other world is that if he doesn't grab onto her when he goes back, then she won't come with him. He can't transport her with him. And I don't know if that's good enough of a plot point, but it is what it is. Let's go back to another one that I've been enjoying. We have the Bureaucrat Villainess anime. Now, this one is technically okay. It's a villainess anime, meaning that in this case it's this old dude, this dad basically, who's gotten transported into this otome game as the villainess, and technically it's reincarnation because he gets hit by a truck, and he finds himself in this otome game that his daughter was playing. I won't try to spoil it, but it's not really reincarnation, nor is it really isekai. It's isekai for him and reincarnation for him, but outside looking in, it's just he's just been transported into the game. And so it's an interesting take. It's a mix of isekai, fantasy, and villainess. The villainess genre that's been popping up, and it's a very original take, I would say, on the villainess trope. He's still trying to play the role out and figure out how to play this rich woman, this noble woman, as just an old dude who has known nothing but being a salaryman, and he's an otaku, but I think it's really interesting to see this conflict of, she's not who she says she is, and he is not very well suited to be the main character that you would normally think of. He's not some young girl or, a young guy who might know a lot more of how to play the game and what to say to progress the story, and might not be totally familiar with these concepts of isekai and reincarnation and the otome genre itself, right? So it's really interesting because it's something different. It's something different, and it does it in a hilarious way. And I feel like a lot of people are not giving it enough, not giving it the recognition that it really deserves. And it's not just like isekai, and that's what makes it so much better. So major props in my opinion to that anime. And I just wish more people would watch it. I will say though, there are so many other, like this. What's this even called? Even given the worthless appraiser class, I'm secretly the strongest. I'm actually the strong. Like, what is this title? What is this title? And then I watched it, and it was just like, dude's dookie. He gets fucking apologies. My apologies for swearing, but he gets thrown down the dungeon. Where have we seen that before? He gets saved. Where have we seen that before? And then he realizes his power is actually OP, and he just keeps super leveling down there, just getting power after power basically with no real explanation, just hard leveling himself. And it's just like, I don't know. There's no stakes, there's nothing. It's just kind of like he gets this superpower and he's just a god at the end of the day, and there's nothing cool about that. There's no drawback to his powers, and that's another thing I hate about these newer isekais. There's really no drawback to their powers. They're just gods with slight twists. This guy can appraise anything. He can see into the future, basically. Like, I don't really understand what the point of it is. I watched like 2, maybe 3 episodes, and I was just like, okay. Like, he doesn't, there's no real training involved. He just gets all these powers in a couple episodes, and it's just like, what could possibly stop him? And even if he gets hurt, he just gets revived and helped out by the elf or whatever. It's just, I don't know, like I'm disappointed by it. Really am disappointed by it. Seeing stuff like that come out, and again, there's so many, like, another one is the possibly the greatest alchemist of all time. He gets summoned, he gets mixed up, God gives him a super cheat skill. He gets some alchemy skill that basically just lets him create anything. A fridge, a magic powered fridge, you got it. A magic powered carriage with a Harry Potter tent in the on the inside. Like, it's just like he gets so much, and it's just, there's no real tension. It's just actual brain rot. He's basically God, and the only thing, at least in this one, is God tells him, hey, your power will like fade. Your super cheat skill will go away after meeting the people that you need and developing the things that you need, which is fine. But in the course of the anime so far, it's just like it doesn't matter too much. He still gets to tame crazy monsters. He gets his harem of girls, basically. He gets his, superpowers, and it's actually such a self-insert character, and there's nothing cool about it. And the animation isn't even that good. It's like, it just feels like these kinds of anime are just being churned out, and they are, and what's the point? What's the point of animating something like this when, again, there's that base, it's the same anime basically as this one. It's called I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try mastering magic. And he also just is like, day after day, he just gets like actually broken skills. At the beginning, it's like, oh, you need to master the magic to actually, or like practice doing a magic spell to become a master at it, to perform more actions. Again, by the second or third episode, he gets the skill which just lets him super train. He gets the fast pass to just mastering whatever skill he wants. In a couple seconds, he's already mastered it. He has this entire encyclopedia of magic on his rank. He can summon a billion spirits. He can tame anything he wants. Turn even his own friends into like familiars and stuff like that. It's like so weird. And he just by the second or third episode, he's already a king of his own nation, basically. And then it's just like, what was the point of it even being an isekai? Why was this not just a fantasy anime from the very beginning? What is the point of making it an isekai and transporting this person, or reincarnating them, if it has no like ties to the overall plot line? That's what I'm tired of. It's just not even isekai at that point. He completely forgets about his old life. There's no recalling what he's learned, like in the Headhunted to Another World anime, where the salaryman, takes his experience from his daily working life and sees if he can apply that to the situation he's in. There's none of that. It's just, why was this not the fantasy anime from the very beginning? And then the third anime that's basically the same is Magic Maker. He gets reincarnated as some kid. His sister has like a brocon thing with him. It's so fucking weird. It's like disgusting because they're also little kids. And then like the whole thing is like, I watched the first episode, and then like it's just, he gets magic powers by being lovey-dovey with his sister. What's up with that? I couldn't continue watching it. But it's basically the same thing. He develops magic, and he'll probably be able to do some crazy OP magic because no one else has magic, right? So it's just disappointing to see stuff like that. And they'll probably forget all about their past lives. I mean, he's so engrossed in trying to learn about magic and try to make magic. Why would you even ever think about your past life? Anyways, I had to get my rant of just bad isekai anime out. But I hope you guys understand that it's just like, every season there's so many just slop anime that is being churned out, and it's disappointing. But on a brighter note, there are so many actually good like original works this season that aren't fantasy or isekai, like Sakamoto Days. If you haven't heard about Sakamoto Days, I don't know, you must be living under a rock. If I'm being completely honest. It's honestly just so good. If you liked Spy Family, if you liked, oh god, what, Gintama, like Buddy Daddies, oh, even like Psyche K. Oh, it's almost like One Punch Man. So good. It is so good, and it is getting the recognition it deserves because Sakamoto Days as the manga has been known to be good, and that's fine. But like there's Sakamoto Days airing this season. There's, what else is there? The Medalist anime, which is kind of like a teaching this kid how to become like an ice figure skater, and it's really like wholesome and it's just like a good like sports-esque, like, just a normal anime. It's just solid. It's just solid. And you have your like romance anime, like Married to a Girl. Again, I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class, and Medaka Kuroi wa is impervious to my charms, and Honey Lemon Soda. I love Honey Lemon Soda. I really need to keep going with it, but oh god, it makes me feel so sad on the inside. I'm like, I get jealous because it's just, man, I want that. I want that. I have a crush at work. It's exactly what the title is. It's just two coworkers trying to kind of hide their crush for each other at work and whatnot. Kind of like Wotokoi or 365 Days to the Wedding that aired last season, I guess. My senpai is annoying. Like, it's very, very in line with those. So if you liked any of those, then you'll love that. Jeez, what else? This is what I'm saying. There's so many trash isekai, and like 20% or more, or like a quarter of the anime airing this season is just stuff that has been getting a second season or returning season. So it's just so hard to find. There's like so little new non-isekai, non-fantasy anime, and it's kind of disappointing. Fantasy in itself isn't bad. It's just some of these just have the isekai tag in there basically because they couldn't be original enough to come up with a different trope or a different starting point for their series or story. It's kind of sad. Oh, how could I forget about this? Again, this kind of is isekai. Well, not kind of. It is isekai. But Zenshu is not isekai in the sense that, she's just... Well, first off, she's animating her own anime, which is a mindfuck in its of itself, right? Like, she's the animator living in her own anime, animating the different scenes and whatnot. It's such a weird thing to think about. And it's animated by Mappa. It looks absolutely amazing when the scenes come on and these amazing fights break out and whatnot. It's just good. It feels solid. It looks beautiful. And her power is limited. It's an amazing power to be able to animate what you want the story to be and whatnot, but it's limited to when it needs to happen. She's not just drawing everything willy-nilly and just adding stuff to her anime. It's such a better take on isekai. And she's not a different character. She is herself. She's been transported into her her story as herself. She's not playing some other character, so she gets to be herself. She gets to still look at herself in the same way and stuff, and that I feel like is important to an isekai. People will hate on what is it called? Yeah, Mushoku Tensei. People will hate on Mushoku Tensei, but it does such a good job of having high stakes, having a character that thinks of himself as his old self as well, right? And it always comes back. It doesn't forget where it started, of him being this loser that gets to be reincarnated, right? There's always those scenes of him talking to God, and it's not himself as this new character. It's his old past self, and it always brings that back. It doesn't forget about that, and I think that's really important to the isekai genre. And these new ones that come out every season, there's a couple of the ones I just listed that are they're just slop. They're just garbage. They're just filler. Honestly, they're just filler anime. They all blend together. There's not really cool powers or cool characters that you really remember. You want to remember. You know, you might be like, oh, that fight was cool or whatever, but sometimes they're not even animated really well. They have like horrible CGI. The powers themselves aren't. Again, there's no stakes to using the powers. There's no limits to using the powers, and they're just basically playing God in this other world. And I think it's gotten to a point where I need to put my foot down, at least, and just say that I would rather see something original, something new, animated, that isn't isekai. Anyways, those were kind of the ones I wanted to talk about. I gave my praise to the anime that's been airing this season, and you know, there is a lot, but I don't know, this season there's a whole lot of really good ones, like Sakamoto Days, Solo Leveling, Zenshu, Honey Lemon Soda. There's a whole lot of good ones, and then there's everything else, basically. There's not, you know, there are a couple that I feel like could be better, like, again, Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf, and whatnot, but there's so much bad this season, like Ubelbla. I don't know, it was just way too edgy. I watched the first episode, not for me. Maybe it's for someone else. But the rating of it being a 5.9, it's just looks like people aren't enjoying it. And I don't know. If you're getting a 50%, a 5, that's basically a 0. It's basically a 1 at the most. Because that's how people rate things, right? But if you're halfway through the season and that's what the rating is, it's just kind of like, what can you expect for the last half of the season? Anyways, I said my piece for today's episode. Today's episode was a depressing one, I won't lie. If you made it to the end and you're like, wow, that was depressing, but I think I get it, then thank you. But if you didn't listen to it and you're just like, hey, you suck at making this podcast, and this episode really was just a rant about how shit isekai is, and you should never talk about this again, and your opinions on anime are shit, that's also valid. But I think we can all agree that we would like to see more good anime being objectively good anime being animated, and not just filler garbage isekai every season with the same blonde elf girl guy with robe, either white or black, or white hair with black robe, or vice versa, and without a super duper cheat skill. But hey, you can only ask for so much. Anyways, that was the end of the episode. Thanks for sticking around, guys. It was a short one. It was a bad one. And I tried making a list this time to actually narrow down what I wanted to talk about, but damn, there's just not a whole lot of good anime I would love to talk about this season. It's kind of an okay season. It's not the greatest, but it is what it is. Anyways, catch you guys next time. You guys take care of yourselves. Bye bye.